it's happening, or is it happening for Bitcoin as we do revisit yesterday's daily setup, as it does play out about halfway from where it started off yesterday, which was rather fast, I do suppose, but that does have implications for the next, I suppose, 2 weeks to come, as we do follow up on this one. And we're going to go over some other statistics, as well as the relevancy of kind of what happened yesterday. So first things first, let's jump right into the charts and let's follow up on that particular setup. I should also go over this massive light in the room. It's fucking bright, man. It's super bright. It's like blindingly bright. So I'm trying not to stare too much at that. Apologies on that. Anyways, besides my autistic outbursts and rages, I do want to once again revisit this daily setup that we spoke about yesterday right here. Again, this is a very, very simplistic setup on the daily, where anytime that we do see the daily time frame VMP volatility get below 10 percentile, plus an uptrend on the daily, and actually the 3-day time frame as well, it has led to these statistics over the full history of Bitcoin, with a just over 51% strike rate, which of course is just, kind of a coin toss, but more importantly, it does give us some information as to, what to expect if this does play out. From this current trajectory, as the average winning trade has printed but 22.65%, and the average losing trade has lost just over 8%, as you can see right there. So going back into it right here, Bitcoin from the entry that was given on yesterday's open has already played up from open to high 10%, which is almost half of that number. Of course, it still has a long way left to go. And if we actually go back into the performance summary right here, we can see that on average, we'd actually expect this setup to take a lot more time. In fact, 14 days on average. So if it fired off yesterday, that would be like the next couple weeks. On the losing case, it typically takes around 5 days. So if this one is going to turn around and fail here, we'd actually expect this to happen like within less than a week, basically. Again, going off of the averages, but going back into it, let's see what those numbers would look like on top of current price action. And of course, 22% to the upside will put Bitcoin on new highs at $75,000, or just above $75,000. To the downside, because I do still think that this is certainly possible here, 8% to the downside would put Bitcoin at around that $57,000 number, which I do want to express that, personally speaking, I do think that Bitcoin is still at risk of having a downside move somewhere around there, as long as Bitcoin is below one of the major pivots that we'll speak about a little bit later in this video. But as you can see, over time, these statistics are what they are, and I do understand that there's gonna be some people out there who say like, "What? It's a coin toss? It's a coin toss, sir." It's not about a coin toss. It's about where it tells you have those probabilities in your favor, as well as the average winning trades and average losing trades. And of course, this is a part of the Krown Quant automation service, which you can use to set up strategies like this, or basically anything that you can think of, as well as iterate off of my own strategies, templates. And you can even have it automate for you. You can have your own little bot slave do everything for you. And it's on sale right now with the happy 6-year code, as you can see right there. And I should just say that, you know what, as Elsa likes to say, get in the times. Get in the times. Get in the times. Use your damn bot slaves and have them work for you tirelessly, taking those days off and even doing all your hard work for you. Sorry. I just really wanted to say that. Look, I don't think that you should actually use slaves. And if you do use slaves, make sure that they're inanimate objects like this script. Anyways, of course, I do want to say, hey, in a more serious tone, if you are interested in that service, which I absolutely love, I always do want to warn people, make sure that you actually read the service information in a more detailed manner, and also watch the promotional video in the link in the description below, because it'll explain who it's for, who it's not for. It's not really suited towards fucking noobs. Anyways, okay, now that we got through that, and let me just make sure that I'm actually recording over here. Okay, I am recording, so that's good. Let's move on to the next thing, which is the relevancy of the bounce yesterday. So I want to go back to this chart. We've been revisiting this chart a few times now in this past week, and I want to do it again because the Bitcoin production cost chart has been giving us a basement price for Bitcoin. So if you're not familiar with this chart, it's basically the lowest cost to produce a Bitcoin is represented by this bottom channel right here. And the reason why that's relevant is that over the full history of Bitcoin's really never seen any consistent closures below, certainly not on higher term timeframes, and even in the most egregious of downside moves like we saw on the last Black Swan, or I guess, on the last Black Swan with FTX and the one before that a couple of years ago, of course, the old Rona dump right there, was even getting around the low of that. And here's the thing, while that bottom cost is right now at $30,000, it's about to double because the halving will quite literally double that number, as you've seen in the past. The last example that we do have was actually right here, in May of 2020, after March of 2020, massive black swan. But in this case, you can see that the basement price did actually more than double from 4,100 all the way to 8,900. And Bitcoin did test the bottom side of that, yes, but ultimately these were phenomenally well-placed long-term areas to enter, at least in my opinion. So in this case, you can extrapolate this as the halving is coming in less than a month now. At least that's what I believe. Feel free to correct me on that one, but I think it's in the next few weeks. So this will double from 30,000 to 60,000. Well, what was basically the lowest trading price of yesterday, right as I was recording that video? It was 60,794 and 84 cents on the Bitcoin index. Okay, it's kind of interesting to see that Bitcoin did bounce there. Like I did go over in the past video and the one before that, I wouldn't mind like a quick wick, even a little bit lower than that. It looks like we actually did retest the low yesterday too around the FOMC meeting as we looked for, but ultimately these are probably long-term areas if that's anything to be going off of. And going back to it right on over here, it's like I like to think of it myself, and of course, do whatever you want to do as well. But in my opinion, in my experience, if I am a long-term minded person, which I'm starting to be, do I care, or should I care about low $60,000 versus maybe mid or upper $50,000? I mean, in the long term, I don't think so. That's just a personal opinion. Now, of course, everyone's different. Everyone has their own preferences. Some people they can only buy the ultimate low and sell the ultimate high in order to make money. Fair enough. More power to you. It's a fucking difficult job to do, though, and realistically, you don't need to do it in order to make a good profit and loss. Anyways, okay. So we've gone through that. Just wanted to revisit this to put that overall perspective in mind, especially for the more long-term minded people. Again, in the short term, I'm not like super convinced that this is done just yet. Bitcoin needs to do something in the next couple of days to I think really confirm this one. But as we can see over here on CME, Bitcoin does have a little bit of a gap coming in from $66,000. You might even say that we've already filled it right there. In fact, we pretty much have, as Bitcoin does maintain above the 61.8 level on CME. And I'd really be going off of the CME chart right here in this particular instance with the HPDR bands. That does imply that as long as Bitcoin is closing above the 61.8 level, I should treat this as a major low, and perhaps even the next macro low. That also implies that on the other side, if we do start to see CME, which does trade at a premium over spot price action, close below this region, it's pressure onto the downside yet again, and I would probably be looking for another run towards 63 or 62 500-ish region, maybe another bounce around there. Until that happens, anything above that level and between $72,000 is inconsequential as far as CME chart goes. As long as Bitcoin is below the median, which my cursor is currently pointing to right now, you can't really be looking for a continuation. But here's the thing. This is starting to be shaping into a much more obviously bullish consolidation long-term, not today, not tomorrow, but long-term, as we do start to see volatility contract yet again. And that would imply that Bitcoin probably does, do something like this, and going sideways here for a little bit of time is going to really favor the BULAs long term. On top of that, if we want to look at the stochastic momentum pivot for the daily time frame, it has significantly moved down, certainly over the past few days, which it was hanging above $72,000 for a while. Now it is 67,500, as you can see right here, which Bitcoin is, kind of a cough away from. I mean, $1,000 in Bitcoin language now is like nothing. It feels like. But technically, trading below that pivot as of right now. So I would say that the next sort of short-term thing for Bitcoin to do in order to really, gear the probabilities in favor of that upside continuation would be closing today above 67,500. If you see that, okay, it's not like a moon signal for right now, but it is a signal that, hey, this consolidation is maturing in favor of the BULAs, which I think is kind of more or less formality, and it's very possible that we actually do not see below $60,000 if that starts to happen. But until that happens, or as long as Bitcoin's living below it, I do believe that it's not that I believe, but there is quite literally a risk of that downside move in the more near term. And remember, if this model over here is going to print out a failure, we would expect that to happen within 5 days, about 5 days from the initial entry, which was yesterday. So that gives us into like early next week, basically. So you can start to see how all these puzzle pieces work together. And that's really the beauty of using statistics to kind of mediate trades and whatnot. Anyways, moving on from there, I do want to go over some Thursday statistics for Bitcoin since the start of this year. I'm only measuring since the start of this year, by the way. Thursday has actually been a coin toss in terms of bullish or bearish. At 50% of all of all dailies closing, either positively or negatively. So literally a coin toss right there. So no real edge in understanding what Thursday is, nor is there like a humongous return, both positive or negative, at 1.5% basically. So today, probably more of a consolidation day, if I had to guess. If Bitcoin does consolidate in a positive fashion, we do see above 675. I mean, that would be significant, obviously. But other than that, it's telling us today's, might not be that much, to be fair. Anyways, do I have anything else over here? No, actually, I think that's pretty much it. I do want to let you know that if you are in the Krown Quant automation program over here, I have been uploading new videos on the Teachable. If you're not on Teachable, just email elsa.crowntrading@outlook.com. It's a fucking long one, but it works. And she's been a little bit slow recently because she's been dealing with some medical issues, but it's all good. But I should also let you know that I'm going to be uploading. No, not like retarded, but just like you've been, having to be in bed. Anyways, so what I mean by this, or what I'm getting at right here, is that I'm going to be uploading another thing probably today on optimizing stop loss and take profit metrics by percentage. I want to share a new method that I've been using recently that has had really significant results. So yeah, that'll be there for you probably by later today. Certainly no later than tomorrow. And I'll leave off on that note. As always, I want to wish you the best. Take care, much love, and see you hopefully Friday.